Hey there, what's going on? This is Paola of paolaponcenails.com, and today we are going to be playing with a whole bunch of different Aurora powders to create the ever so popular bubble nail or bubble Aurora nail. I'm gonna go ahead and try a whole different bunch of products, including Daily Charm, Ageha. This is a brand that I don't use too much, but it's from Cellophane, which is a distributor of high quality Korean products. I'm also going to use this Cocoa's Chrome hand. For my cellophane or my reflective paper, I have this one in a blue hue. Then I have this one in a pink hue. They are different kind of shades of this stuff, but it seems to me like the most popular looks are created with the blue or the pink. So that's what we have. And so that's what we're going to use. The powders that I will be using are from 4 different brands, and I'm going to be using a combination of each so that you can judge and see which looks better to you, which one do you want to invest in or try. We'll get started. Alright, first things first, anytime when you are working with pigments, really with gels, it doesn't matter what I use. I always wear gloves. I just don't like the sticky behavior on my fingernails or my hands or anything, and I definitely do not want to become sensitized to anything so that I become allergic or irritable too. Also, using or wearing gloves provides a lint-free surface, so if you're ever wanting to quickly remove a lint piece off of your nail brush or your gel brush, you can actually use your glove surface to do that. So why don't we first start with the Unichrome from Daily Charm. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and prep this nail tip just with acetone. Okay, so no color. I'm gonna move on to my base. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a full cure. And then next step would be actually cutting this little guy here. And again, I'm going to be using their little cellophane paper. And the way we are labeling these or characterizing these, this is so beautiful, look at all of that, is by calling them reflective foil paper or embed foil. So if you try to stick this on a sticky layer of gel, it won't transfer. And when you are cutting the piece for this transfer, you're gonna want to cut it smaller than the full nail. If you cut it exactly the nail length, first of all, that's going to be kind of impossible, but second of all, it's gonna end up being really, really wide. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a little rectangle piece like this, and I'll go ahead and cut another one for in case I mess this one up or for our next demo. And you definitely want to measure it. So obviously this is like way big, right? So I want to do it smaller. Can you see how this is curved here? And I'm just rounding off the corners. Gonna go ahead and do this. Again, you don't want it to be like the full length or body of nail. Otherwise, you're gonna have trouble encapsulating this and it will lift. And now we're gonna round off the corners a little bit. Make them a little prettier. And then make sure that this is still quite narrow. See, that's kind of the equal width of the nail, so I'm still gonna go a little narrower. All right, do you see that now? Narrower than the nail, just a tad bit shorter. I'm not exaggerating, I promise. You can also make beautiful designs with these little pieces. Cut the corners. Do you see why it's so important to work with gloves? Because you are touching this piece a lot. All right, so it should look something like this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get the second piece ready. Don't round off the corners until you get the rectangle shape that you want. All right, so I got my second piece prepped. Have both pairs of scissors here. Again, one that's straight, nice and sharp, super sharp. And this one here, which is curved. A pair of tweezers for precision. And I'm just gonna see if it fits where I want it to fit. Perfect. Now the key here is to not press your foil into the nail. So perhaps you're like, oh man, I gotta get this flat. If it fits flat nicely, that is fine. But more often than not, you're gonna find yourself with an annoyance here of this happening. So what I would recommend is to now grab your builder gel. Go ahead and place a little dollop in the same square shape that you cut out, like so. Get your handheld curing unit ready. Place your piece back on there. And do you see how you have a little gap here and a gap there? This is totally fine. You're actually going to fill that gap in. Now you want to keep this straight and you want to keep it flat. That's what's going to give you that cool bubble nail. And as I'm curing this nail, I'm actually turning it around. This is the beauty of this. And now what I want to do is fill the underneath of this. Yes, this nail will be bulky, so just make sure that this is the look and design that you are wanting, because you kind of can't go back, and you're filling this in. You are going to go ahead and cure this. Just a flash cure, about 15 seconds, just enough for this to harden. And fill this side in. Now the whole point of this nail is to be able to apply this piece without buffing. I know you're going to be super tempted to want to buff this. I'm going to go ahead and give this nail a full cure. Now the other thing to remember with this nail is not only that you don't want to buff it, but it is going to be bulky, so make sure it's what you want. Chrome powders are very, very thin, very light. Make sure that you are wearing eye protection and a mask. Alright, and so what you want to do now is fill this entire nail. So maybe I'm gonna use this stiff detailer and cover all the edges of your square. Seal in this paper so that you have no lifting whatsoever. And I'm just self-leveling the gel. Okay, I let that self-level and I'm gonna go ahead and cure it now. Now it is time to grab your non-white top coat, or if you have a designated chrome effect gel that you can burnish. Okay, and you can use a makeup sponge, and you just usually need the tiniest amount. Just gonna put it on the entire nail and see what we get. All right, this definitely looks like a little jewelry piece. Really, really cool. Now I would recommend that you work under your dust collector. And I'm gonna go ahead and dust this nail. All right, so now that I wiped it, I would still do a sealant, but maybe more of a thinner sealant so it doesn't get too bulky. So I'm gonna just go ahead and use this thinner viscosity base. Gonna go ahead and cure this, and then finally I'm just going to give this a top coat, and there we have it. And I'm going to use the similar process to test the other products. All right, so I decided to take the night off and go at it the next day just to see maybe what I can be doing better, because it just didn't seem like it was reflecting. So I made 2 changes. Number 1, I put the chrome pigment down first, and then I put the paper on top, and I did not burnish it again. And the other was to make sure that the foil paper stayed flat. I did not concern myself with making it flush to the nails. So enjoy these next couple of demos, and those were my 2 modifications, and I think that it really started looking more like that bubble Aurora nail.